To be honest, I was hesitant to make this video because some riders may find this topic boring. But then again, I thought about that one rider that I could help save a life or at least thousands of dollars in repairs. Hi, my name is Tushar. I'm a motorcycle instructor with over 200,000 kilometers of riding experience. And in this video, we're going to talk about most common risks of riding a motorcycle and most importantly, how to eliminate them, if not at least try to reduce them. There are really two types of risks, the one that we can control and the ones that we can't. Let's start with the one that we can control. You know, one thing that I learned from racetrack is just how important the maintenance is, because every little mistake is magnified on a racetrack. And I try to bring that same mindset onto the street riding. Take tires for an example. They may look fine, but they age over time. Just like the old rubber band that you may find inside the drawer. It's brittle, it doesn't stretch so well, and it breaks easily because the moisture has been evaporated. The tires are the same. The hardened rubber doesn't grip so well. Then you have chain that needs to be clean and lubricated. You also have to take care of the brakes, electricals, the engine oil. I actually use this MSF approved checklist that helps me to stay on top of it all. And I'll leave the link in the description down below. And it's completely free. Also a pro tip, owner's manual is going to be a best friend. It'll tell you exactly what your bike needs and how often it needs it. Speed isn't inherently bad. It actually may save you in certain cases. For example, you're trying to pass two trucks on a highway while you're caught in the middle. But the speed that doesn't match your skill level is where the risk is. A simple way to gauge a right speed is to think about reaction time. If the car in front of you suddenly cuts you off, do you have enough time to react on it? And if the answer is yes, you're going at the right speed. Did you know that at 100 km/h speed, it takes about 240 feet to come to a complete stop? That's a length of 18 cars. Let that sink in. It really puts speed and reaction time into perspective. I teach licensing courses and I see many new riders that want to hop onto a 600cc as their first bike. And hey, there's nothing wrong with it. You're just extending how long it's going to take for you to be a good rider. Because the mistake is a mistake on a motorcycle. A smaller bike is going to be more forgiving versus a bigger bike is going to give you what you ask for. So might as well start with a smaller bike and get really good at it and transfer those skills onto a bigger bike because it doesn't work so well the other way around. Also, there's a risk of switching motorcycles. If you're riding a motorcycle that is not yours, and even if it's the same year, make and model, it's going to react differently. And maybe it's a good idea for you to spend first 5 minutes of that ride just to get to know that motorcycle. Remember, every rider is a new rider on a new motorcycle. Let's be real, we need confidence to ride a motorcycle. But here's the thing, a lot of riders decide how well they ride based on how fast they can go in a straight line. Now let me tell you this, that's not where the skills are. A monkey can go fast on a motorcycle. All it requires to do is this, and the bike will keep going straight until it runs out of gas or it hits something. If you want to know how well of a street rider you are, there are really two good gauges. One, how well you can take fast cornerings, and two, how well you can ride a motorcycle at slower speeds. And based on that, you can decide your skill level and ride at 80% of your skill level on the street. Keep that 20% in your back pocket just in case if anything goes wrong. But again, push that 80% to 90%, 95%, dare I say it, 100% when you're in a controlled environment. For example, if you're taking advanced courses or if you're on a racetrack wearing a full gear, you're more protected, push yourself a little bit because we have to do that in order to get good at it. This one is self-explanatory. We need balance, reaction time, and focus to ride a motorcycle. And what are the first few things we lose when we drink? Balance, focus, and reaction time. And it's not just alcohol or drugs. Sometimes it's the drowsy medicine over the counter that we get that could put us at risk. Riding a motorcycle is all about feel, and that feel changes every time you change your riding gear. For example, in winter, wearing many layers makes it harder for us to move on the bike. Your new riding gear also needs a break-in period. So here's a good tip. Wear that new riding gear off the bike. Like if you got a new helmet, just wear that helmet at home. Maybe 15 minutes to half an hour a day. By the 7th day, that helmet is already broken into and you feel comfortable wearing that on the bike. Dress in layers, that's the easiest way to adjust to changing environment and to stay comfortable while you ride. I mean, who doesn't love the look of riding a black motorcycle with a black helmet, black jacket, black gloves? It's cool, but your visibility is almost zero at night because all they see is your tail light, which is size of your fist. So wear all black if you want, but put on a high-vis vest on if it's a nighttime or if it's rainy or fog conditions. Riding demands your full attention. So if I were to give you a $10 worth attention, you're going to end up spending $8 just riding that bike. There's not a lot of left. Distractions are everywhere. On the bike, you have your phone, GPS, action camera, or you even ride or daydreaming. Off the bike, you have scenery, pedestrians, road signs, or other drivers. So if you're new to riding, I would recommend to stay away from these distractions, especially your phone, even if you want to use it for GPS. What I would recommend is write down the direction on a piece of paper and stick it onto your gas tank. That way you can fully focus on your ride. And once you start getting good at it, then you can add the other variants that enhances your riding experience, like music. It's probably one of the best things you could do when you ride. Riding is an active sport and it requires you to move on the bike. So if you have a sprained ankle, maybe it's not a good idea to ride the bike. Also, how are you feeling mentally? Are you stressed? Maybe angry because you had a fight with your boss? Or you just won a lottery and you're going to be a throttle happy? So maybe it's a good idea for you to skip the ride. Before and during the ride, check with yourself how you're feeling physically and mentally. There's literally no shame in pulling over, take a rest, or clear your head up. It's always better to be safe that way. Now let's talk about the things that we cannot control. Weather conditions like rain, fog, or ice can seriously impact your ride. Even wind speed matters. Anything over 30 km/h speed wind is going to be obvious on a motorcycle. If it's making a tree sway, you will feel it too. Some riders don't ride in rainy conditions, but I'm a huge advocate of riding in all types of weathers because it makes you a better street rider. All you have to do is just be prepared for it. So you can always check your weather apps before you leave for the day. And here's a tip. If it says 40% rain, that doesn't mean 40% chance of rain. It means 40% of that area will be covered with the rain. So it's always a good idea for us to check the radar to see where the rain is passing from, because it may very well not affect our ride. And dress in layers. Personally, I always keep my rain gear with the bike because it not only protects me from the rain, but it also keeps me warm in a cooler temperatures. I don't think car drivers are out there to get us, but it's just the nature of riding, especially in Canada, because most of the riders ride here for 6 months of the year. And after that, car drivers are not used to of seeing us. Their brains are kind of switched off. And that's why you see these big highway signs saying watch for motorcyclists, usually at the beginning of the season, just to create the awareness. So the best thing you could do is to be predictable on the street and ride like you're invisible. The blocking position is one of the best things you could do in order to improve your visibility right away. And if you would like to learn more about that, you can click on this video. Over 50% of motorcycle accidents happen within 10 kilometers radius of your home. It's true, backed by research. We let our guards down and we go on autopilot. Road hazards are everywhere, like uneven surfaces, pothole, manhole covers, or tar snakes. You know what the tar snakes are? It's basically a rubber poured to fill up cracks on the road. And in summer month, that rubber gets softened and your front tire will stick to that rubber and it try to catch it. So in a car, you might not feel it, but on a motorcycle, it's obvious. Then there are seasonal changes to road conditions. In fall, wet leaves are slippery, and in winter, salt acts like a loose gravel. And that's why I highly recommend to have off-roading experience, because it really teaches us how to handle a motorcycle in low traction conditions. Any extra weight on the bike changes the way it handles it. So if you're going to take a passenger for the very first time, and imagine that passenger have never been on a bike before. If you're leaning right, the bike is also leaning right to make a right turn. Where do you think that passenger is going to instinctively lean? Towards left. And in that case, you're all going straight. So maybe take a first passenger as somebody who have been on the bike before, or maybe a rider who knows how it feels to be on the bike. So that way you're not struggling with that extra weight. Before the ride, talk to your passenger, let them know the style of riding, and maybe ask them to hang on to your waist so that they can lean with you. Always secure your luggage. Trust me, loose straps can ruin your day. For cargo, distribute your cargo weight evenly from left to right, top to bottom. It's best to stay closest to the center of gravity. Making the bike heavy takes away the joy of riding. Carry less, ride more. Animals on the road, they come in 3 sizes, just like your Tim Hortons coffee. Small, medium, and large. Small size animal like rabbit or squirrel, they're very unpredictable. So if you cannot stop or swerve in time, then just keep going, because if it's between your safety or an animal, you have to choose your safety. Plus, imagine making a phone call to your insurance company trying to convince them that you crashed because you're trying to save a squirrel. Medium-sized animals like cats or dogs are also unpredictable, but in most cases, not always, they may get scared and run back. Maybe it's our better bet to aim for the direction that they're heading towards, hoping that they will get scared. Dogs love barking at motorcycles, so if you see a barking dog, be prepared to come to a stop just in case if it breaks free. Road crossing turtles are surprisingly slippery. Large-sized animals like bear, deer, or moose, they rarely run back. So if you cannot stop in time, swerve behind the animal, hoping that you'll be able to clear it. If you see one deer, expect another one that's coming right behind. The difference between deer and a moose at night is deer will reflect some light back at you, whereas moose will absorb that light inside the fur. So you don't see a moose until it's it's very close. Pay extra attention to road signs, especially during their most active time, which is dusk and at dawn. And let's not forget the most unpredictable animal of all, the humans. Especially those guys wearing a tight short who think they're doing the Tour de France. So if you spot one, keep a safe distance. At the end of the day, it's our responsibility to look after them. Be extra vigilant at dusk and dawn. The sun is in your eyes and you may not be able to see what's in your front. And also the car behind you may not be able to see you either. At night, your headlight could be easily mistaken as a car's headlight behind you. So swerve within your lane once in a while just to catch the attention of your surrounding vehicles. And here's my simple rule for night riding. I don't want to outrun my headlights. And what do I mean by that is I should be able to stop from where I am to how far I'm able to see. This is an interesting one because it's such a small thing, but it definitely adds a risk, which is riding through changing environments. Every environment has its challenges. For example, riding through urban areas, you may come across with the traffic or angry drivers, versus rural areas, you may get distracted by a scenery or come across with an animal or all of a sudden hit an unpaved road. So personally, I play this game inside my helmet where I'm spotting the risk as I'm riding. It helps me to be present with my ride and also adapt to a changing environment. Group riding is a big topic and I think it deserves its own video. In short, group riding is a risk because wide range of skill levels within the group. You may have a rider who's been riding since he was a kid versus a rider who's just joined a sport. So the golden rule is ride your own ride and always know what's the next Tim Hortons you guys are going to meet at. That way you don't feel pressure to keep up with the group or rush to make the decisions that you don't want to make. Follow the staggered formation to improve your visibility and reaction time. Remember, the most important roles within the group is the leader, who's in the front, and the sweeper at the very far back. These two riders must not only be the most experienced riders, but also must have the most experience when it comes to leading the group. The biggest risk of all, the rider, you. The data shows over 60% of motorcycle accidents are riders at fault. And what's more surprising is a lot of these accidents are single vehicle accidents, which means rider hitting a wall or going too wide in a turn. It's a clear sign that there's something that we need to do better as a rider. And what helps me to keep my ego in check is to have a beginner's mindset and knowing that I don't know everything. Taking extra courses, being exposed to newer skills. Because at the end of the day, we don't get to keep our skills, we only get to practice them. If you think that I missed any risk, feel free to write them down below in the comment section and help other riders in the community. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.